Hi, and welcome back to SDI's Coffee Break, where we're again with Pat Doljuk from Hornbill. Hi, Pat. How are you?
Hi, David. I'm really good, thank you.
Good. Nice to have you join us again. Yeah, it's really good, actually. The weather's good. I think being in isn't so good at the minute, but the weather's good, which is good. But yeah, tough times, Pat. And we were talking in the last session about a new publication you brought out, which is absolutely brilliant timing-wise. It'd be good to go through some of that, I think, if possible. Now, the publication, and we'll sort of, I'll post some of this so that the listeners can see where to get it and what it looks like. But the publication covers off collaboration. There's some interesting stuff in there. And I think what we'll do maybe is take each section in one video. So initially, it talks about collaboration and cooperation. So before we maybe go into section one, right, it talks about visibility, interaction, coordination, effectiveness. What's the difference between cooperation and collaboration? And especially, I suppose, when you take into context Title 4's co-creation of value. What does that mean right now, do you think?
Right. Okay. So, I mean, it's rather timely, the article, but we have been saying this for years and years and years, that the concept of silo mentality, not silos themselves. I think silos are absolutely essential, especially in IT. You have development groups, operations, infrastructure, all of those different people have very specialist skills. So it makes sense for them to kind of exist within a silo. But what happens when that mentality takes over, they focus on their own goals and targets and not necessarily the bigger picture of value that's delivered to the customer. So right now, we've been forced to do more collaborative working because we don't have the physical meeting spaces, the ability to do face-to-face, that type of thing. And that has driven a coach and horses through some of the cultural challenges and the kind of adversity to risk over the last little while. But there's no question. We started collaborating 7 years ago. It wasn't an easy journey, but there's no question about the benefit it gives to the whole organization, putting everyone on the same page, getting ideas and kind of knowledge from areas where you wouldn't ordinarily expect to get input from. A marketing team getting input from a developer. That's the type of thing that collaboration fosters, and we're not very good at it, and it takes a bit of persistence to get it operating.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think what I'm amazed at is, you're right. You've been saying that. I think so many people have been saying it for a long time. Every time that we go into an organization, we push those buttons about, how collaboration and homework and the potential of it. And usually it's always been, no, we can't because. And all of a sudden it's the new world. So I think, when we talk, especially in your publication about the enablement of remote working effectively, when overnight the world has changed completely, which is incredible. And you're right, it's pushed the buttons maybe far more quickly than some organizations would have liked. I think it's fair to say. So section one. Go on you. Sorry, go on you.
No, I'd say, sorry, I did miss a key part of the question you just asked me, the difference between cooperation and collaboration. I think basically when you're collaborating, you're actually working out loud. So you're actually publishing your work, you're producing it, and you're inviting other people to narrate and comment on it, offer ideas, exchange knowledge, and kind of debate it in an open fashion. That's collaboration. Whereas cooperation, you're doing your own kind of work in your own little silo. You come together and you share stuff from time to time to hopefully deliver a better outcome. But collaboration is a more iterative and a very fast way of actually getting consensus and moving things on. And it really gets everyone tuned into why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. So it does connect silos rather than actually breaking them down. It just connects them. They are necessary, but they have to be connected.
Yeah. Good. And I think we'll tease some of that out in some of the further videos, Pat. So thank you for that. We're going to start with section one. Now, section one, you talk about the service desk and the triage. And self-service is the best arsenal in your tool. And I think certainly from a demand perspective at the minute, we've seen a change in the shape of the types of workload that organizations are dealing with, the service desks. And you talk about the priority, the number one priority that means. What are you seeing in relation to that? Certainly what we see is adoption rates. We see user experience as being key to those as well, culture, as well as user types and maybe the demographic of a user base as well. I think that's been a problem historically for some organizations. Now we're in a new world, we're in a new place as well. So how do you address those challenges when all of a sudden you need to change quickly? How do you address all that?
Well, I mean, as it stands at the moment, a lot of the blockers that would have been there before for using self-service have been kind of removed. People haven't got as easy access to phone and email and all those other bits and pieces. But that aside, I think IT organizations are now using this opportunity to actually drive the whole self-service thing forward. The classic mistake, I've seen it done incredibly well and also quite poorly. And the classic mistake is basically it's designed by IT people for IT people with the purpose of actually driving down costs, increasing efficiency, reducing the workload of the service desk, which really are results you should get from an effective self-service deployment. But the primary goal has to be about improving the service experience from the user's perspective. Now, if you're not addressing that, you're not including things like rich knowledge, not thousands of documents to plow through, but asking intelligent questions about, we'll say, an interruption to service, presenting with the right information at the right time. Doesn't require AI magic. It requires you to think about what you're doing, what questions might be asked, what answers will be given, and what tips can you give customers. And if you do that with self-service, adoption will soar, absolutely guaranteed.
Jim, it's interesting. We did some research probably 18 months, 2 years ago now, maybe a bit longer. And that's exactly what we found. We found that the organizations who centered their motivation around the user experience and improving that and working with user groups, marketing the benefits, gauging demand, got far more return from an organization who just put the technology in because it sort of said so on best practice. Sort of says we need it, let's do it. What are we going to do? Well, I don't know, let's lose 30 heads. They got much more of a return on that. So I think I echo that as well, actually. You also talk about switching off email. Man, the email's a scourge, isn't it? I have no idea why in 2020 we still use email as a channel. Do you think that organizations, in this space, right, the maturity of self-service, self-help propositions, what if they haven't got that in place? What if they've got that place where it's, it is just a tool, it's not maybe mature enough, it's a bit scattergun. How would an organization like that lean on self-help, self-service as a proposition right now? Where would you start to untangle that?
Well, basically, at the moment, you've got very few choices. Let me put it first and foremost, using the feedback from customers. One of the things they unanimously say is that self-service is done well. The first thing it does for a service desk is it allows the service desk to prioritize in order of business importance, so criticality of the business. Whereas if you're picking up the phone, you're dealing with emails, you're dealing with a queue, it's just not that easy to prioritize stuff. So if you want to prioritize effectively, the other aspect of self-service that one customer was reporting to me during the week is actually people are not sweating the little stuff at this point in time. So there's faults and stuff. They're just not worried about it. They know the service delivery team is under pressure. But from a self-service perspective, if you go in, think about your own person. I do not want to speak to a person most of the time I'm doing stuff online. Sure. I want to be able to do it myself. It's just the easiest way to go about anything, no waiting in queues, et cetera, et cetera. If it works effectively, you've nailed it. You absolutely have nailed it. You don't have to kind of keep feeding people and keep messaging to go back to self-service if it's done effectively. It helps to begin with until you get them over there. But if you deliver a great service, if it's representative of the things that your customer is going to be calling you about, and you give them good advice, clear instructions, and just a small number of documents to help. No one wants to read through tons and tons of content. They're just that's more damaging than anything else.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, Pat, we're going to close on this video, and we'll maybe pick some of those threads up and some new threads in the next one as well. So, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listeners for listening to this as well, and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you.